So last but not least today, we have République Studio. We have here the founder, Tom Uferas, Uferas, from Paris. Please join me on the stage. République Studio put at the center of many of his projects the typography, so I'm sure we will see some very, very nice project. If you need.
Where am I?
Sorry. Oops. Sorry.
Ciao a tutti. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a real honor to be surrounded by so many talented people. I wish you will enjoy my presentation. I am Tom Uferas. I am a graphic designer from Paris, and I am the founder of design practice République Studio. So at République, first of all, we are graphic designers, and we use our passion to do a lot of different kind of projects, which means we do a lot of art direction, posters, magazines, website catalogs, etc. And I'm sure not all of you are familiar with our studio. So for those who don't know our work, here is a quick slideshow to give you an idea. So, as you might have noticed in all the works you just saw, we use typography all the time, and I can admit that yes, I am totally obsessed with fonts. I'm far from being an expert, but all the typefaces makes me feel something. Anyway, it all began when I was a kid. Like everybody, I was spending most of my time playing Nintendo, watching cartoons, and also I was a big fan of Michael Jordan. I think I had the first Air Jordan sneakers when it came out, and which might be a collector right now. Anyway, above all, I was collecting letter set sheets. The funny story is that I never used them. I was just collecting them because I found them beautiful. Later on, when I got older, I became a big fan of graffiti and tried to do some. Here is my friend Leo on the left and me doing one in Greece. But wait, actually the truth is that I didn't do the design. It was done by Leo. He drew it and I just painted it inside. The truth is I realized quite quickly I wasn't really good at graffiti. So that's why, even today, I prefer to use fonts designed by the others. So, like what I used to do with letter set sheets, now I collect fonts. And when I check in my computer to see how many fonts do I have, the answer is quite big. Yeah, I know it's huge. But like most of you, I only use very few of them. And to be honest, it even happens very often that I buy a typeface, but never use it for a proper work. Anyway, to explain you my obsession of typography, I did a little comparison between a random guy, this one, him for example, and me. So let's start with the typical day of this random guy. He wakes up, then goes to Instagram to check his friends' new posts. He brushes his teeth, takes a shower, suit up, have a traditional French breakfast, says goodbye to his wife, maybe takes the metro, I'm not sure about it, and arrived at his office and eventually can begin to work. Now, let's have a look at my typical day at the office. I wake up with digital numbers. I go to Instagram and check some typefaces in the making. Then I go to brush my teeth using a toothbrush with a logo set in Vegas by R-Type. Then I take a shower and wash my body with soap set in Optima, a very classical font but still very nice. I put on my sans-serif museum t-shirt, have a cup of tea in my favorite mug set in Times New Roman, go to the metro and enjoy some nice French Art Nouveau font, get off at République Station. Yeah, by the way, that's where our names come from. And eventually, I arrived at the office. So this is our main room, and upstairs is a little corner where all the magic happens. Me on the left, Nicolas on the right is a photographer we are working with, and Amelie on the screen, who wasn't there when we took the picture because she took some holidays when I am here pissing my pants speaking in front of hundreds of people. Anyway, so, work. We have office hours between 9 and 6, and we try to stick to them. When I was younger, before I had kids, I was spending all my time at the office, working very late, even during the weekend, but this was before. Now I have a family, and I try as much as possible to spend a lot of time with them, because what I prefer among everything is family times. Anyway, so, work. I've chosen 4 pieces of work to explain you a bit our work process and to show you the importance of typography in our work. So, let's begin with the project, which is one of the reasons why I am here today. Playboy France, Playboy France. So some of you might ask me, how come did we get such a client? Well, actually, it all started with France Football. In 2017, France Football reached us and asked us to create a new visual identity of their magazine. France Football is a cult magazine, published every week since the 50s or something like, and it's done and put together by a good 20 people. So here you can see the magazine before our redesign, and so they wanted to renew the look and feel of the magazine. So we changed literally everything, from the logo to the format, the cover principle. We changed all the typefaces, new color system, new iconographic direction, new layout, of course, and we even suggested them some new illustrators. Also, we designed the new Ballon d'Or logo, which is owned by France Football, by the way, and it's quite big for football addicts. And with this work, we won an award at the Club des Directeurs Artistiques in France for best use of typography. And that's why Playboy France called us. So, we are at the beginning of 2018, and they asked us to design a new Playboy. We meet the team, and to my surprise, it's a pretty small team. So we have lunch, we spend time together, and even if the brief was a bit blurry, they wanted to make the magazine more modern, more chic, but staying a bit classic. So we started by looking for fonts, because yes, at République Studio, every work begins with a typeface. We think a typeface is a big part of the identity of the project because it can provoke different emotion, and that's why you really have to choose well the fonts you will use. We always want to find the typefaces which will tell the good story and which speak the same language as the project itself. So the first thing we did for Playboy, we went digging for fonts. It took us at least a week or so to find and try about 50 different fonts before choosing one. And then, yeah, I found it. Here it is. The main typeface of the magazine will be a very basic, grotesque font, but brand new and very elegant. I didn't want to use something you have already seen somewhere, so Bossit from Fat Type was fitting perfectly. Especially because it's versatile due to its lot of open type features, which we could use, for example, on sports section. And with this font, we combine a very classical display font for headlines, big Caslon, as you can see, and Caslon 540 for the body text. It's a timeless font, which is really readable. So here is our first cover of Playboy. It wasn't the easiest job. We were a bit stressed out because the model didn't like the photos we had chosen for the cover. So we had to make compromise. But it's part of the job too. Sometimes you have to make compromises. I will speak about this later. Anyway, what we did inside the magazine was party time. Our main idea was to mix the two fonts and play with them, like you can see here. So very often in the titles, we were using some letters of big Caslon and mixed them with Bossit. This principle was fitting pretty well with the images. Also, we were in contact with the Playboy US, and we were able to use some of their series. We were really free, and we tried our best to do something we really like. We were also commissioning some illustrators, and for the first one, guess what? I asked my friend Leo. Yes, the one who did the graffiti with me and who became a really good illustrator. So, this was our first issue of Playboy France. 3 months later, because it's a quarterly, we designed the second issue. This time, the keywords were a bit different. The new brief was to be more hype, more luxury, and not only for men. They wanted to make a magazine that would be read by women also. A magazine that you would be proud to have on your coffee table. We were happy because we had the freedom to design a new layout again. So we went digging for fonts again and chose 2 typefaces I really love. The first one is Glossy Display. It's designed by Bold Decisions, and I really felt that this typeface could add the extra thing we were looking for this new issue. The second one is Lausanne by Nizar Kazan, a Swiss type designer, and is an ultra-organic sans-serif font, like he likes to say. And ta-da! This is our second cover. Less nudity, more open to all genders, and maybe more chic. When it came out, we had a lot of positive feedback, and we were really happy with this. As always, we like to see big typefaces in action, so we don't hesitate to play with them. We had a really good fashion series shot by Sylvie Castioni, and a wonderful series by the very famous Henrik Purien. For this issue, we commissioned Breast, a trio of designers, to illustrate a 10 pages article on porn studies. Also, Paul Rousteau, who did the photo for the main interview of Jacques Seguela. And Comme de Bouchonny, a friend from my design school shot the still life pictures. 3 months later, we designed the winter issue. It was the last issue of Playboy France. And surprise, they wanted a new layout again. And we said, sure. So the keywords were a bit different. And then I learned my lesson. It's really important to educate your client. We were so honored to do the Playboy that we were okay to compromise, especially because in the end, we had the creative freedom for every issue. But in general, it's really important to explain to the client why you are doing this that way instead of this way. Otherwise, they will tell you what to do. It's our duty as designers to explain to the client the choices we make. Like David Rudnick says, you don't work for the client. You work with the client for the audience. And it really changed the perspective. And it's a win-win situation. So, for the first issue of Playboy, they wanted more testosterone. And I thought about this typeface. Nah, just kidding. More seriously, for the last issue of Playboy, we chose Ginto, released by Dynamo, because we thought it was masculine enough without being too vulgar or strict. And also it has a friendly touch, in my opinion. And we also chose Noé by Chic Toyka, which has a very elegant feel. Plus some clarendon graphique by François Rappeau, released at Optimo, to reinforce the strong touch. And here is the last cover of the French Playboy. The woman on the cover is Nabila, and she is photographed by Alice Moitié. At this time, my wife just released her first book, so you can see that she had a review on the right page, the pink book there. Yeah, sometimes it helps to have your husband art directing a magazine. So this is an editorial of Nabila, who is a French hit girl and entrepreneur. And here you can see Nabila with clarendon graphic in action on the right. And some double sheets of politics set in Noé display. And this typeface works really well for serious content. The guy on the picture is an extreme left-wing politician, and he is shot by Boris Kamaka, French photographer I really like. As you can see, we added some colors on the typefaces. Woohoo! So, unfortunately, after this issue, they stopped Playboy France due to financial issues. So, the next project I want to tell you about is SAISON. SAISON is in between the florist and the set designers. They use these flowers in all its forms to make scenography and art direction. For this project, we believed in the power of typography. A typeface and the way you are using it has a real power on the identity of a brand. By looking at a typeface, it can remind you of a brand, a movie poster, or an album, etc. And that's why, when you start working with a new client, it's very important to choose a typeface that doesn't have too much recognizable history already. The typeface has a real impact on your memory, whether you want it or not. That's why I try myself not to use same typefaces all the time on many projects. So, after discussing with SAISON, we ended up with these 3 keywords: simple, elegant, normcore. As I told you already, I like to see and to use unseen typefaces with new clients, or even better, be the first one to use it. It's like a race for me, honestly. I have to be Usain Bolt. So as soon as a type designer shows me some new sketches, I want to be the first one to use it. So it has, in my opinion, something extra to the project, knowing that it's the first time the font is being used. So for SAISON, we choose TYPOGRAPHY, which is a revival of program by Karl Gessner and still unreleased officially. For many people, it's just another Helvetica, but actually it's really different from it. Look at the design of the lowercase a, for example. It's really something. For the branding of SAISON, we decided to use this font and this font only, always in lowercase. So we asked Fabian Arb, who is the designer of the font, to custom it a bit and to put rounded dots instead of normal ones. And then we designed a very simple and brutalist identity. The logo is always set the biggest possible on each printed material, and all the other information are in a standard size. The business cards are printed in letterpress in a very old Parisian atelier on a very heavy paper. And the black lines are used to prioritize the information. Very minimalist, but sometimes very details are enough to us. So we also did their website, which is an infinite scroll page, very simple and clean, and some posters when they opened their new boutique. So don't overuse the same typefaces all the time, because you don't want the whole world to look the same, or at least change the way you are using them. We don't want to see the same identity everywhere. Diversity makes our world beautiful. The third project I want to show you is Adidas Next Level. Next Level is a collection of shoes from Adidas, and they wanted to promote it through an event. So, because we are living in a digital era, they wanted to do it with influencers. So we teamed up with Jean and Jolie, who is a very famous French Instagrammer, and began to work. They wanted to do something green, but apart from this, we were totally free. So for the typeface, it was quite obvious to us. Because the shoes were named Next, we chose Next typeface. Yes, it's that simple. It was like a sign. It's the latest release of Ludovic Ballon, and we love it. It's modern, but it also makes you think about sport. Take a look at the O, for example. They are like basketballs, and that's one of the reasons why it fits perfectly the project. So we designed literally everything for this event, from the clothes to the basketball court itself, and the video, which was displayed on the back. Because it was the first time we were doing this kind of motion design video, we did all the video on InDesign. Yeah, I know, it's a bit weird and unconventional, but it was our way of doing. So we used almost 1,000 different pages that we put all together in 2 days. And to be honest, it was quite a lot of fun. So here is the final result. Here, there is a motion designer who came at the end. So here is the last project I want to introduce you to. We haven't shared it on the medias yet, so it's like an avant-premiere. AJAP is an exhibition about 20 young architects, and this exhibition will travel in 50 countries in all the French institutes around the world. So this project is a good example of how typography influences unconsciously, and I will explain you why. So the scenographer had to design something light, easily constructible, and easy to transport. So we had keywords like architecture, light, and structure in mind. We immediately knew which typefaces we wanted to use. So OPS Past Perfect is quite new and very beautiful. This light and geometric typeface is designed by our Polite Society, designers from Netherlands who are also graphic designers, and it fit perfectly the content, also because of its stencil forms. We also chose basis from Colophon for all the body text because we had never used it before, and because it's modern and easy to read. So finally, our choice of typography inspired the scenographer to design the exhibition based on the same forms, but he only realized it afterwards, as you can see it right here. So here is the final result of the exhibition. We did all the printed materials, from the layout of the displayed posters to the labels introducing the nominated architects. In fact, we designed the whole signage of the exhibition. We also designed the catalog of the exhibition project. And this catalog is distributed in all French institutes around the world. In addition, we also did an individual brochure for all the nominated architects, explaining the details of their displayed work. So, as you can see, every brochure had a different design. And as you can see here, each one was unique and designed to have a spontaneous feel. So these 4 projects you just saw are only some of the projects that we've done recently. And to be honest, I could talk about typography for hours and hours, so don't hesitate to come and talk to me afterwards. I would be more than happy to exchange ideas. But before I go, I want to give you one last advice. Keep digging. Yeah, it's always the best way to learn and find your passion. Keep digging for fonts, of course, but also keep digging to find your own style and try to create the best design you can do for the audience. Grazie mille.